to varying degrees of success.
Sure.
I'm not going to bother to relive those right now because it's a wonder that my job survived them. This time, though, 2019, turning over a new leaf. We're actually not going to create a creature.
No.
What are we doing today, Josh?
We're going to make a helmet.
We're going to make a helmet.
Yeah, so we're going to do something more in line with what we've been doing, but I wanted to also give a little bit of something extra, so we're going to make a Banu helmet today.
A Banu helmet?
Yeah. So
okay.
I have already got loaded up our model of the Banu.
And jump right into it.
So we've kind of got this starting point here. This is, we've shown some of this stuff before with some of our previous concept art. So this is a concept model. It's not a production model. This is basically, what we work off of to start generating ideas, start conversations, and implement feedback. So I figured it'd be fun to see what we could do with that. So I've loaded up a sphere here.
Well, we're done already.
Yeah, done. And this is it. This is
join us
actually the
next
end. We can do a little one of these kinds of things, and we are complete. What I'm actually going to do is just start with a sphere. Whenever we start sculpting stuff, you usually start from a primitive. So cubes, spheres.
What you're saying is the guy who did the Spaceball helmets didn't work very hard.
Didn't go too far down the choices, yeah. I'm using some clip curve brushes here. So the clip curve basically takes this line and actually just clips it, as you would imagine. And I can turn on some features here like transparency just to kind of get some initial shapes. So we're just going to really roughly, I guess, block this out.
Now, it probably goes without saying, but we're going to say it anyway. The Banus are not
Buenas a todos, chavales.
We've got lots of armors in the
Buenas, Harlow. Me he metido una tropezada con el sofá y casi no lo cuento, ¿eh? La siesta del demonio.
Lorville, ArcCorp. We've got some Terra stuff, UEE, fashions, shipjackers. What we know the human style guides pretty well at this point.
Sure.
What kind of considerations do you have to, for lack of a better word, consider when doing a Banu helmet?
Vale, parece que están haciendo un casco Banu.
Especially when it comes to like breathing apparatuses or shapes, or maybe they have a specific style that they like. Or that they're more accustomed to, or things like that. So obviously you also have different head shapes. So their head shape is different than a human's head shape. It's similar, but it's got some other key features.
Vale, él está preguntando cuáles son las influencias que tiene para desarrollar un casco Banu, ¿no? Porque sabemos que pues el humano viene de su cultura, de lo que sea, ¿no? Y de dónde viene el casco Banu. ¿Qué tiene que tener en cuenta? Entonces, dice que de entrada se fija que la forma de la cabeza de los Banu que es distinta a la cabeza de los humanos y que ya por eso pues trata de hacer una forma más agresiva en lo que es la parte de la frente, ¿no? Que está haciendo ahí, que se ven en esta zona de aquí, ¿no? Que está haciendo aquí en...
obscure their species. They'd want to celebrate their species, let people know that this is a Banu, easily identifiable.
So just playing with some projection settings here. So this is a tool within ZBrush, which is the program we're using that lets you basically create a new mesh based on your existing mesh for you to sculpt on. So it's never going to be
dice que está utilizando una herramienta que le permite crear una nueva malla en base a la malla que ya tiene creada. Dice que está desarrollando pues eso, un casco de explorador que no es un casco de combate. Comentando ahí Jared que no hemos escuchado mucho hablar de los Banu en combate y dice que no es su fuerte, dice el desarrollador. Pero bueno, que sepáis que esto ya lo hablaron hace tiempo esto lo hablaron hace tiempo con respecto a los Tebarin.
When you start looking through it, where his head is.
Bueno, dice que ahora están mirando dónde tiene situada la cara, ¿no? Y aparte de donde tiene la cara, pues intentan hacer el visor, diseñar el visor. Lo que comentaba los Tevarin, que habían dicho hace tiempo que aunque los Tevarin fueran una raza guerrera, eso no significara que no tuvieran comerciantes u otras cosas. Entonces con los Banu pasa lo mismo. Aunque sean comerciantes principalmente, eso no significa que no tengan gente que se dedique a la exploración o gente que se dedique al... pues a la minería o a otras cosas, ¿no? Que no sea solo comercio. Pero la mayoría de su raza pues se dedicará, supongo, que al comercio, o será como el orgullo, ¿no? Del buque insignia de la raza.
But I'm kind of looking for, with this, I'm kind of looking for what that shape could be, and why they would need it to be a certain shape, or, you know, how do you kind of play, you need so much extra headroom here, so changing the shape of the helmet, they might have a very unique look to their helmets, you know, this might be something that you can tell from a distance is them.
Vale, está diciendo que está tratando de buscar las formas para que encajen bien en la cabeza y demás. Y que además que sea algo identificativo de los Banu, que tú desde una cierta distancia puedas determinar que realmente es un Banu.
Functionality, cultural significance to the horns? Do they touch horns? Would you want to be able to expose the horn easily without having to take off the entire head?
Bueno,
To be honest, I don't really know.
le está preguntando, bueno, lo que es la especie de cuerno, de nariz que tiene ahí chunga.
Up here. So once I
Que si-
start blocking out the overall shape, you'll notice I'm
Que si
spinning around
servirá
a
para
lot, I'm
interactuar
trying to
entre
see
ellos de
what
alguna manera.
kind of view that it's gonna, you know,
Uf.
feel.
Aquí puede haber de todo, comentarios de todo tipo. Pero bueno, en otro momento más tranquilo lo comentamos, lo de la parte esa de la nariz chunga. Pero sí, que dice que si habrá algún tipo de interactuación, el desarrollador ha dicho que de momento que no tiene ni puñetera idea, que no se sabe si va a haber algún tipo de interactuación con eso.
Got a lot of room for him, but it's also fairly tight. And maybe this is in the back is where some of the electronics are stored. But I do kind of want to make the front a little more interesting.
Vale, está diciendo que está haciendo el casco de manera que delante tenga bastante espacio, pero que también esté pegado lo que es la base del mentón y demás, lo que estaba señalando. Y en la parte del cogote, o sea, en esta parte de aquí, que es donde tendrá el tema de la electrónica y demás.
Even in movies, a lot of the helmets you see don't actually fit the actors when they put them on. They'll end up making multiple pieces, and then they'll attach it basically to the actor's head. So for example, like if it's a really tight helmet, they might put a line or a series of lines like here, and then this part of the helmet would come off, and it basically clamshells over the actor's head.
Right.
Even some of the stuff like
Bueno, está diciendo que si es un
un
casco muy ajustado, que podrá describir como unas líneas que está haciendo y podrá hacer que el casco como que se pueda retirar de esta manera.
Right.
So things we got to figure out when it comes to the functionality of it for these characters is, that button's not working. I'm going to assign a new hotkey for a brush. There it is.
Going back to the function, some of these things don't exactly make sense for how they get it on. You see a lot of Marvel movies lately have gone to it's just a button and the helmet builds over.
Yeah,
the
it's
head.
just so easy, right? It's like kind of one of those, you know, we have this problem.
Está
A lot of
comen-
that stuff is built out of necessity for the script, actually. So when you see something like, you know, we want to immediately get into an action scene, but they need to go fly in space or they need to do something, rather than spending the quick suit-up sequence time or whatever, it just turns into well, what if we just make it appear? You know, what if how can we make it appear? So those kind of conversations are pretty common. And
Bueno, está hablando ya del tema de los cascos, por ejemplo, de Iron Man o los cascos como las pelis de Marvel, que simplemente pulsan un botón y de repente se pone todo el casco, ¿no? De golpe, de la nada, desde un botoncito pequeño. Y que estaría, estaban comentando de que eso es realmente es una conversación común en los estudios de desarrollo de Star Citizen, que siempre se lo plantean, si sería posible, si cómo lo haríamos y tal. Que es una conversación que tienen muchas veces a diario, ¿no? Por así decirlo.
Mirror him. Me? Okay. My mic is shifted.
And while he works on his mic, yeah, what I was saying was basically some of the.
Is it better now?
Están arreglando el micro, que parece que se lo ha descolgringado y nada más. O sea, no estoy diciendo nada interesante ahora.
I'll take care of this.
You go, Josh.
So yeah, like as the more complicated shapes you have on glass, the harder it is to see out of them. Especially if you add like certain types of shapes, like that's way too aggressive. But if there's like a
Ahora dice que una de las partes más complicadas del casco, de hacer el casco, es la parte del cristal, lo que sería la parte... Y especialmente si añades formas muy agresivas al casco.
So a lot of those stuntmen that use those helmets are straight up heroes because it would almost never work.
What about the?
Yeah, we'll start talking about how you put it on soon, though.
Yeah. What about the size of the Banu horn? Obviously we haven't seen many Banu.
¿Cuál es el tamaño del cuerno Banu?
That would change size between Banus? Do they?
I think it would. It's definitely something we're playing.
Si cambia de tamaño, si hay cuernos de diferente tamaño, y ha dicho que sí.
We've been showing are essentially, you know, whenever you start designing a race, it's like you do one first. You know, it's hard to say. You know, even when you look at humans.
Dice que claro, que luego cuando la primera vez que haces una raza, pues que primero que haces un diseño base y ya está. Entonces por eso quizás solo tengan ahora mismo un cuerno, ¿no? Tamaño de cuerno.
What we think one Banu would look like. It's not always about, you know, trying to define the entirety of the species. So right now, I think it would probably range in shape, size, color. You know, we could do all different kinds of things with it that might make it.
Sí, dice que a partir de ahora que pueden pensar en tamaños, colores y que pueden hacer cantidad de cosas con esto. Joaquimén, esto es el reverse de Verse y están haciendo una armadura en vivo. En concreto están haciendo el casco de la raza Banu. Un casco de supuestamente exploración.
Gamedev Friday?
Yeah, if you're new here and you've never seen Josh Herman do this before, you can. I'm sure somebody in the chat will have links for you. You can check out such a previous hit as the.
Qué grande, qué jefe, dice. Bueno, si no habéis visto antes hacer a Josh algo de esto, seguro que alguien del chat os da algún link para que veáis algún vídeo. Vaya tela.
What was the third? We did a spider, we did a vandal dog, crotch whale. And
all incredibly successful endeavors. Yeah. So I'm getting some shapes in here, and you'll see that one of the things that I like to do is I work slowly at the base level. So I'm not spending a lot of time adding detail. What I'm doing when I'm kind of sketching this stuff out is essentially just defining areas that I think could be separate panels.
Me dice que una de las cosas que le gusta hacer, y como le gusta hacerlo en definitiva, es hacer zonas básicas y hacer como que separar el casco, en este caso, en diferentes paneles, en diferentes secciones, a base de darle esa forma que le está dando.
Yes,
trying to get kind of like a diamond shape.
For those asking, this is ZBrush, is the name of this program.
Yes.
It's
Bueno, están hablando de que el programa es el ZBrush, ZBrush, que como dicen ellos, pero es ZBrush en español, ZBrush. Que claro, imagino que si desarrollamos cualquier tipo de diseño o lo que sea a través de este programa, que se lo podríamos enviar. Vengo ahora que me muero de sed.
more heroic. And so that normally means, big jaw, small, other types of features. And something I'm kind of liking about this is that it's kind of lacking that look, which can help set it apart from being, so.
Yeah, what we know about the Banus are they're, migrant species of traders. Not. We know that the Banu don't have a huge reverence for history.
Yes.
And heroic deeds tend to lend themselves to.
Yeah, exactly.
To history. So I think it would make sense that if you didn't particularly put an emphasis on the value of historical significance, heroic deeds may not interest a culture like that, because what's the point?
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody's going to remember it.
Yeah. So I think I've got an overall shape that I'm kind of liking. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add a little bit of detail to it. I always.
No, dice que ya empieza a tener una forma que le va gustando, así que va a empezar a añadir algo de detalle.
In case, especially as we're working live.
Yeah, we never have technical problems with this stuff at
We've never
all.
once had a technical problem.
The authentication server was not down 5 minutes before we went live either.
So what I like to do is duplicate these items so that I always have one as a backup. I do this both as a
Dice que lo que va a hacer es cada uno de los objetos que ha diseñado,
as I'm working on something.
los duplica y así los tiene como respaldo.
Like it, or I find that it gets boring, or it feels like it lost something in the initial sketch.
Digamos como un guardado por si acaso hay que volver a partida, ¿no? En este caso, si se la caga mucho.
So I'm turning on some features here. This is called lazy mouse. Essentially, this lets you you'll see there's a little red line there. It makes it so that when I draw, you can see my cursor's kind of going all over the place here. That red line's going crazy, but it doesn't affect the stroke. And so what we can do is do some pretty clean lines, much easier.
Me dice que tiene una herramienta que parece que no termina de afectar a toda la estructura, que le da esa forma de esa línea, y que gracias a esa herramienta pues pueden hacer esa línea precisa, ¿no? Que está haciendo.
But the time to get the initial shapes can take a lot longer if you're trying to also balance that.
Now,
Pues la verdad es que el pavo este es un máquina, o sea, por nosotros no sé cómo, pero yo hacer esto con alzada aquí con ratón,
from what we've seen of
ni de coña, ¿eh?
Have a very organic look
Yes.
to their technologies. So the thing that I'm noticing you already doing is there aren't a lot of hard edges, like 45-degree angles, things that wouldn't occur in nature. Anyway, everything that you're doing right now is a very curved, a very flowing style, if I'm saying that correctly.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you look at organic stuff, or you use a lot of reference from nature, you can see that occasionally, but especially in animals, or one of my, a very common thing, especially for general artists, is to look at like anatomy. Human anatomy,
Lo que está mirando ahora es que bueno, como quiere hacer un diseño orgánico y demás, que es lo que estaba comentando ya, están evitando los ángulos y demás. Y dice que una de las cosas que hace un desarrollador a la hora de buscar diseñar algo basándose en la naturaleza, pues es mirar, sobre todo, fijarse mucho en la anatomía, ¿no? Basarse en la anatomía. Está hablando de que cuando ves un músculo, la unión de varios músculos, que esas líneas que se forman, digamos que sería una separación bastante natural, y es una forma de inspirarse y sobre todo de huir de ese tipo de ángulos.
In nature, and crystals are full of hard lines, 45-degree angles, stuff like that.
So what I'm doing now is basically from what we had before, and I can toggle back and forth between these, which makes a good example.
En teoría sí, pero vamos a ver lo que están haciendo.
I added some detail to it, and I've been cutting in those lines. So all that stuff I was basically doing, you could treat it like a gesture drawing. I'm just refining it.
Typhoon, he is using a Wacom tablet. Show him your pen.
This is a Wacom 5 or 6 or something. I don't know which one this is.
Yeah.
A Pro.
Yeah. Don't let the fact that the module in the program is called Lazy Mouse let you think that he's using a mouse.
Oh, yeah. You can. I have I have tried to sculpt with the mouse before.
Bueno, estaban diciendo el modelo de lápiz que está usando, que no sé ahora cuál. Parece que no está utilizando finalmente ratón al alza, sino está utilizando un lápiz de estos digitales que hay.
Whereas if you're drawing with a mouse, it's a lot like drawing with a bar of soap, which I think is really difficult. Or chalk.
Drawing with a bar of soap.
Yeah. Not so easy.
Fijaros la herramienta que tiene para hacer las cosas en simétrica, ¿eh?
I'm basically tucking away. I'm creating a little space that we could maybe create like a little reveal. So as it rotates around the back, maybe there's some sort of like tech hub in here.
Están haciendo como una especie de espacio que permite revelar quizás algo de tecnología.
This feels like just kind of a natural space to just put some stuff. So maybe there's like some different layers to the actual tech itself. And then this can be like some terms we use are like greebles. Greebles or nirnies are two words that we use, but this is basically like the surface of the Death Star, surface of Star Destroyers.
I was going to say the Millennium Falcon. I think a lot of us learned the word greeble from reading about the Millennium Falcon.
Absolutely. So just kind of sketching in this stuff, and it's almost identical to the process I was using here. So as I go up levels, I'm looking for more interesting shapes, and I'm sketching in the details for where those could be. So I'm adding more information in general, and then filling that information with details.
Junkyard in Space says maybe the Banu have a thing that hangs off the back of their helmet to denote their trader status or something, social status.
Yeah.
People.
Bueno, está hablando Jared de que quizás en la parte de atrás del casco tengan los Banu algo que le indique cuál es su estatus, ¿no? A nivel social, creo que se refiere.
The term that we would usually use for this is like rhythm, which sometimes means creating visual lines of interest that go through the entire piece. So if you're starting on, if there's an area of interest down here by the chin, I'm creating some lines that it can connect to exit at the top of the helmet, top back of the helmet.
Me dice en este caso que como que está creando un punto de interés y a partir de ese punto de interés que lo sigue continuando, lo continúa y bueno, pues hasta que llega en este caso hasta la parte de atrás del casco.
Starting to bisect this thing where it's like where you put it on and all the glass, which I'm not a huge fan of. So I might just kind of tie that back in or something.
Todavía está decidiendo lo que está haciendo, como veis. Me dice que esa zona que no le está gustando y que volverá más tarde a ella, la que está diseñando ahí. Dice que si normalmente, si cuando estás haciendo algo artístico te atascas de las ideas o lo que sea, pues que simplemente cambies a otra cosa.
Very high tech, and I want to kind of start still feeling maybe a little puffy, like a little bloated, but I think the overall shapes are kind of getting there, and I want to get this helmet visor off as soon as possible.
JJ's adding a tablet cam.
Angle.
A tablet
there
cam.
We go. All right, I think overall shape-wise, that's kind of working for me.
Me dice que lo que está haciendo, que más o menos que le está gustando, que está esperando también a quitar lo que es el visor lo antes posible.
And what I'm going to do on version 3 is there's a bunch of ways to do this, but I'm basically, I'm going to mask this section. So all of this.
So basically, whatever you mask won't get changed. You make larger sweeping changes without affecting a certain area.
Exactly. Mask the visor off.
Me dice que
There's options for like painting it or for doing different kinds of ways. And I'm overshooting, like I'm intentionally going over where I want it to go, because I'm going to separate this whole section.
Vale, dice que lo que está haciendo es una especie de máscara en esa zona porque parece ser que va a separar esa sección entera. Es una herramienta que tienen.
Polygroup is basically a fancy word of saying groups. So when I group by masked, you'll see that these become different colors. What I can do now is I can select them.
Claro, la puedes seleccionar porque tiene todo ese color. Qué pasada, macho.
The outside, the glass here, and I'm going to split my,
Es increíble que de un calcetín sudado hayan sacado un casco al final, ¿eh?
This section now, and they're actually completely different pieces. So I'm going to go back to this piece, and I'm going to delete it, because I have my other one here. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do kind of the same thing, but I'm going to overshoot in this way.
Vale, dice que va a hacer lo mismo que ha hecho con el visor para separar ese pedazo, ¿no? Y está utilizando diferentes capas que tiene preguardadas, pero que lo va a hacer con la parte, pues la parte de abajo en vez de con la parte de arriba.
For a loss of words, but I do find whenever when we do these, I find myself for long periods of time
Just watching.
Just watching.
I think that's just, I'm going to duplicate this first so I don't lose it.
No, dice ya que muchas veces que simplemente se dedica a mirar a lo que hace el diseñador, ¿no? En ocasiones que cuando están trabajando en el estudio, lo que sea.
We have this jagged piece here that I'm going to delete. And now we basically have a nice clean piece and a nice clean piece. So I can start by removing the glass. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just kind of carve this in. I could do it in some other ways where maybe this will be the way to do it.
Dice que hay varias formas de hacerlo, pero él está utilizando...
Or teaching in general about how to do a certain thing, and there's not really like the way to do it.
The way that works best for you.
Yeah, exactly. So I always find that...
Está comentando de que a veces la gente le pregunta cuál es la mejor forma de hacer algo, ¿no? De hacer algo en el diseño, en lo que está haciendo, cómo hacerlo. Y dice que simplemente no es que haya una mejor forma de hacerlo, simplemente pues hay tu manera de hacerlo. A partir de lo que tú desarrolles y cómo te encuentres cómodo, pues utilizarás ciertas cosas.
Fantastic, Mr. Fox. That would be telling. I'm not going to tell.
I am going to clay polish, I think. So this, there's some features within ZBrush that basically, you'll see it kind of cleans up the edges here, and it's also polishing those edges.
Jared, please, can you ask in a Bill Murray voice?
Oh, okay.
What's a...
No, go on.
I've never really thought of Bill Murray as having a particular voice. It's like, do people do Bill Murray impersonations?
I think like as maybe the Caddyshack. That was a big one.
Oh gosh,
Oh,
I haven't seen.
Yeah. Yeah, go on.
God, I haven't seen Caddyshack in forever. I haven't seen Caddyshack in a while. Just go to the Art Nouveau, describe new banner style.
What the fuck?
I can't remember how he sounds.
Yeah,
It's been a long time since I've seen Caddyshack.
Están simplemente diciendo que le ponga voces de los vanos, no sé qué tal, y creo que ha hecho una tontería de una voz de un personaje o algo así.
Continue to save. Some of the features in ZBrush, they're not unstable, but it's just they don't always give you results that you want. So what I'm doing here is an extract feature. Extract basically takes the entirety of the mesh and gives it a thickness.
Typhoni, is there any concept art for the helmet you're making? Oh, we are making concept.
Yeah, this is it.
This is what we call a 3D concept. So there is no prior art to this. You are watching the creation of a concept right now.
Bueno, dice que estamos viendo la creación de un concepto.
Some artist concept in 2D, some artist concept in 3D.
El desarrollador nos está contando que pues ha quitado una de las partes y que nos va contando poco a poco cómo va avanzando en el diseño.
And you'll see it's giving me this little layer on the inside. This is really great for anything that has a physical thickness that you'll see. So for us, with this, I'm just going to run with it and see what it looks like. So this is what I was using, and this is it probably put it at the bottom of my list.
We're about halfway through, by the way.
Oh, that's not bad.
No.
Where did it go? It's gone. It's gone. Extract. Okay. Accept. I think I forgot to hit that button.
Is it even a remote possibility that the end product of this design will eventually end up in the game itself? If he likes it and
Yeah, I think so.
Chris likes it and
Dice que hay alguna posibilidad de que este diseño acabe finalmente en el juego y dice que si le gusta, pues sí.
Something called the Subscriber Vault, and in the Subscriber Vault you can see dozens and dozens and dozens of concepts for ships that didn't make it to Star Citizen Universe, or versions of ships.
Dice que los suscriptores tendrán acceso al Vault, y en el Vault tendrán acceso a cantidad de conceptos de naves, a docenas y docenas y docenas de conceptos que no han visto la luz. Pues le contesta eso en referente a la pregunta de si este casco, o esta armadura va a salir y va a estar en el juego. Y dice, pues es una posibilidad, evidentemente.
Exactly.
It's pretty common when you do concept art for movies, film, entertainment in general, especially on the art side. Like, it's so common to just to do hundreds of iterations for one thing.
Dice que en la industria del cine incluso que es muy común, es muy habitual hacer cientos de bocetos para una misma cosa.
Are basically going to making the best possible thing. So, is it possible that this helmet will go in? Yeah, it's totally possible. But we'll probably do plenty of other iterations on what a brand new helmet could look like before we really come to that.
Está comentando de que sí, es posible que este casco salga, el desarrollo de este casco se implemente al juego, pero ellos siempre buscan ese toque de calidad, ese toque que nos han comentado muchas veces, y dicen que es más que probable que antes de que este casco se decida como ser el casco, uno de los cascos Vanu, que seguramente haya otros muchos conceptos que se desarrollen y al final se escoja el que interese, ¿no? El que más guste.
Unused Ralph McQuarrie concepts for the original Star Wars and made those concepts into characters. That was, Chopper was an old version of R2-D2. Zeb was an old version of Chewbacca. It was really cool to see them resurrect old concepts like that.
Yeah, it's actually hard sometimes because you get in production and you're like, we have one character and I like 3 of these options. Probably one reason, especially for costumes, you might see more costume changes.
In the segment we just did on Twitch Pacheco for yesterday's ATV, I saw 3 great designs for Twitch, if I'm allowed to have an opinion about that, and it's having to choose between the 3 is, sometimes
está comentando sobre Twitch Pacheco,
they're all great,
que es el personaje que nos enseñaron en el round de Verse. Y dice básicamente que los 3 conceptos que había de Pacheco, que era muy difícil decidir entre los 3, que los 3 estaban chulísimos, que es una decisión difícil en muchas ocasiones, ¿no? Cuando te encuentras en esa situación.
Adding more detail, getting the shape to be finalized, and then here's this on top of this, but this is basically us choosing the shape, us defining the shape, and I'm adding, continuing to add more detail.
Yes, Quincy, I'm willing to confirm that Twitch Pacheco has a brother named YouTube.
El malísimo, acaba de contar un chiste malísimo. Dice que Twitch Pacheco tiene un hermano que se llama YouTube. En fin, sin comentarios. Dicen que bueno, que están acabando de desarrollar el casco y lo que es definir primero lo que es, pues lo que dicen que siempre hacen. Primero definen el cascarón de las cosas y luego se centran en el detalle. Pues realmente el diseño de un planeta, el diseño de un casco, salvando las diferencias, el proceso es el mismo. Primero lo básico y luego profundizar, ¿no?
So it's really good at defining corners and stuff like this.
I don't want to distract you too much.
Yeah, go for it.
But talking about Twitch Pacheco, which is one of the first, I want to say, not principal, but fully realized female characters that we're seeing in the persistent universe. I'm seeing some questions about the female player character, which is scheduled to come online for 3.5.
Yep.
Is there anything, like a general update you can give us on that?
Yeah, right now it's definitely on track. One thing to note about the female player is that it's a massive feature.
Yes.
Obviously, we've been talking about it for a really long time, but the biggest thing about it is that there's so many different elements going into it, from all different kinds of things we're doing right now. So we're having to adjust our shops, for example. So our shops are being adjusted because now you have multiple genders to choose from. So what is that experience like?
Bueno, está comentando debido al diseño del nuevo personaje de Tis Pacheco, que es un personaje femenino, le ha metido el calzador y le ha preguntado directamente que cómo van desarrollando el personaje femenino en general para poder jugarlo, ¿no? Y dice que están trabajando en ello, que tienen un montón de cosas que definitivamente están en la pista, ¿no? Que están haciendo cosas con él para la 3.5, y que dice que una de las cosas que, por ejemplo, están cambiando es el tema de los kioscos para añadir merchandising. Está comentando también pues que habrá cosas diferentes como, bueno, pues lo que han comentado, adaptarse a todo en general, asiento de piloto, etcétera y tal. Y que dice que definitivamente habrá seguramente algunos bugs.
It's not worth a couple bugs of visual fidelity or shopping, to not
Put it off for another
put it off
character,
for
for another
another
quarter,
because you kind of get into this point of like, oh, at the end of this quarter, this thing would be nice to have in, and oh, okay, well, we'll wait for that thing at the end of this quarter, or so basically, like for example, one of the big things is the female player is going to not have all of the clothing options that the male will have.
Dice que podrían retrasarlo porque no está terminado, pero han dicho que considera que no tiene sentido retrasarlo más y que lo que pasará es que el personaje femenino pues probablemente no tenga todas las opciones de ropa que tiene el personaje masculino por ahora, por el momento, y que se irá desarrollando con el tiempo.
Right. You're not. I just want to be really super clear on that. You're not saying that those options aren't coming.
No,
it's
of course.
It's just that.
Sí, bueno, dice que no está diciendo que esas opciones no vayan a estar en el personaje femenino, sino que sí, esas opciones irán viniendo con el tiempo. Y que básicamente tenían que tomar la decisión de o no poner nada del personaje femenino o poner la versión incompleta. Y han decidido poner esta versión que van a meter en la 3.5, parece ser que un tanto incompleta.
Continue to iterate on it after that.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah, and right now the female will have all of the armors that the male has. So as far as what we're kind of calling gameplay clothing, where the armor has more gameplay, you can store weapons, you can do things in it, you can go in space, will be one-to-one. Yeah. So that's something that we've definitely.
Dice que la mujer tendrá. O sea, la hembra tendrá tantas armaduras como tiene el macho. Y bueno, que en cuanto a interacciones y a gameplay, estarán mano a mano, no estarán uno a uno, que tendrán las mismas cosas para interactuar.
A set of release for the female, and then in 3.6, I can guarantee we'll have more.
Ken Dathry says, if Pacheco's hair isn't ready for 3.5, I want to see her outright flaunting her hair in 3.6.
We will try that for sure.
Add a whole new animation.
Yeah, there you go. The hair flip. Cool. So I think I'm starting to get some overall shapes for like this thing, for this part kind of working. He's got a little bit of a blinders issue here.
Yeah. Chad has mentioned that a couple times.
Yeah. So maybe we just pull that back.
Which actually is a good seg to a notion. Not everything has to be everything.
Sure.
It's one of those. There's a conceit that's very easy to fall into, where every ship has to be able to do everything. Every armor has to be ideal for every situation.
Yeah.
It's in building a living, breathing universe that matches our own in as many ways as we can anyway. You want strengths and weaknesses to any given ship. You want strengths and weaknesses to any given piece of armor. Sometimes things in the real world are made for more form over function, and sometimes things are made for more function over form. And I think reflecting that in the game is a vital aspect of making this seem like a living, breathing
Está
universe. You should see a helmet that goes, oh, this has terrible visibility off to the side.
Yeah.
Está comentando de que no quiere hacer un océano de la cuestión que está comentando, pero sí que ha hecho un océano de la cuestión. Es decir, que muchas veces la gente, bueno, pues se piensa de que las naves quieren que hagan de todo, quieren que hagan cualquier cosa, que las armaduras valgan para todo. Y realmente no es así. Realmente lo que se necesita en un juego como es las características Star Citizen, pues es que las cosas tengan sus fuertes y sus debilidades, ¿no? Y entonces, pues no todas las armaduras servirán para todo, no todas las naves servirán para todo. Habrá algunas que sean capaces de cumplir alguna función más, pero que es una esencia, ¿no? De plasmar esa situación de que vemos la realidad, de que no todo vale para todo, de plasmarlo en el juego.
And so for me, it's like, even if that content came out and a small handful of people really dug it, that's worth it, because that's who it was for. It was for the people that really dug it.
So he said there are no more helmets with no helmets in real life with bad side visibility. Yeah, there are. Just off the top of my head, I'm picturing those. Remember those old, like, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea deep sea diver helmets that just had a little window right there?
Tiny thing. Yeah, those are classy. I'm just going to define some real quick shapes because we've got like 20 or so minutes left, right? Maybe run this through here.
Bueno, eso por el tema de...
Continuing to, push.
Por el tema de las limitaciones y tal, estaban comentando de que en el futuro pues puede que también siga habiendo algún casco en el juego que tenga pues la mítica ventana de mierda pequeña y que eso pues puede que aparezca algún casco con esas características en el juego. De hecho tenemos uno ahora que todavía no está muy definida la visión que tiene, pero es el que parece una armadura de samurái que se puede comprar en Yela. No me acuerdo exactamente el nombre de la armadura. Es la de legado, es una de las armaduras de legado, la armadura pesada de legado.
So maybe to the inside of like a helmet like here is all metal or some other type of material, and then the rest of it I can fill with a padding. So even back here maybe.
Increíble. Fijaros en un segundo cómo está definiendo el material de dentro. Dice que puede ser metal, otro tipo de material, y con un par de herramientas está haciendo el acolchado en 0,
I actually personally enjoy that, working in color as soon as possible. So yeah, we could do, if we want to do like an orange, and we fill the object with that color. So then we go back to white. You'll see that like, oh, the inside of this is now kind of orange and the outside is a different color. Yeah. So we can play around with that as much as we feel like we like. And I kind of like this gray maybe, so we invert that.
Bueno, dice que puede trabajar con colores como le dé la gana, básicamente, que es lo que estáis viendo.
The start of sort of the helmet design or shape. And then maybe you can even paint in color here. So what we'll do is we'll just paint like a black. Maybe black while we're sculpting. So I'm adding, this means I'm sculpting and this means I'm painting. So I'll be able to paint and sculpt at the same time and just kind of do like a little...
Proudly Gamer says, do you normally work on a tablet like that or directly on a touch-sensitive monitor?
I prefer tablet actually. A lot of the artists here use Cintiqs, which is the sensitive monitors. There's other brands and stuff. Wacom is the biggest one. I like to use a tablet because it sounds weird, but my hand gets in the way. So I don't like having...
The visual obstruction.
Yeah. Like if you were to draw like where my...
Ahora está preguntando que si él para dibujar prefiere utilizar una pantalla o una tablet. Y él dice que prefiere utilizar una tablet, que bueno, que es lo que estáis viendo ahí. Dice que suena extraño, pero no quiere que su mano esté en medio del dibujo, que le molesta a su propia mano, ¿no? Porque se mete en el medio. Entonces con la tablet pues interactúa con la pantalla y así, con la pantalla que tiene delante, no con la pantalla que tendría justo en la mano, ¿no? Para que nunca haya visto una pantalla de estas, pues simplemente es una
This is our color
Una
picker.
pantalla bastante
Gives you,
tocha que
color
tiene la
picker
gente que es
on everything
pues
else.
súper sensible, en plan rollo táctil, súper bestia,
thing you can
y
do
pueden
is
ahí
you
dibujar
start,
encima de la pantalla, ¿no?
Since I pulled that back for the blinders, the mesh doesn't fit anymore.
Right.
So I got to fix that. And this is actually very, similar to the feedback process that you get when you work. So it's like, hey, an iterative approach of we tried something, we couldn't see out of the helmet or whatever the issue is, right? Like this feels weird. Actually very, very similar.
La situación que acabo de ver ahora, que vimos que antes modificó lo que son los lados del casco para hacer así, porque veía que tenía un problema de visión, que estaba demasiado cerrado, demasiado ojos de burro tenía, ¿no? Y entonces que ahora se lo acaba de encontrar de nuevo y acaba de modificar lo que es el visor y acaba de decir que esto se parece mucho a cómo reciben el feedback, cómo reciben el apoyo de los vacas en general y de todo el mundo. De que cuando algo no encaja, que algo no tal, pues se comenta, se dice y se soluciona como lo ha hecho él ahora, que se parece a esa sensación.
What I've seen, but I have never.
My face would get sweaty.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of really good work off of it though, so I would like to at some point. Seems like it'd be a fun experience for sure, even if it doesn't work for your workflow. I think it maybe put you in a different perspective or frame of mind, or might be a good way to like change up your workflow.
The very first VR thing I ever did was a recreation of the Battle of Endor.
Oh yeah.
And it just pops you into a X-wing approaching the Death Star, and I just couldn't stop. I kept spinning behind me and looking at R2. I'm like, R2's behind me. And all my friends are sitting in my living room just laughing their ass off. And I'm like, R2 is right there behind me.
Like we know. All right, so just fixing this little piece here. And then I kind of want to get some different materials on here. So in ZBrush, you have all different kinds of different materials that you can play with, and it just like changes it to be different things.
Bueno, dice que tiene ahí pues una paleta para utilizar diferentes materiales y ya habéis visto lo que acaba de pasar, ¿no? Mientras Jared creo que estaba hablando de su experiencia en VR con un juego de Star Wars, diciendo que estaban en casa de los colegas y que los colegas no podían dejar de mirar para atrás y decir que llevaban R2D2 detrás en el X-Wing, ¿no? Pero eso es otro tema.
Toggle some stuff on and off to make that happen. I think that was actually a little too Cobra Commander, so I'm probably going to go with this one and fill it again.
Qué pasada, chicos. Dice que bueno que le añadió un poco de brillo, un poco de shine.
So we can kind of start to see the difference of what those two things look like. And I'm going to play with this off and on quite a bit. So maybe I want to, so you'll see like the reflections on this are, they're not too bad. It's pretty good. But if I did something like put a little crease in it, like it doesn't, see, you can still do this. It happens all the time, right? But you put a little crease in there and the reflections start getting really jagged, which can be cool because it'll create like an interesting shape. And we even have some of our helmets in the game that have elements of this in it, even if it's subtle. Of like, sometimes we'll take a line like this, maybe.
Right, like the Explorer suit.
Yeah, the Explorer has like kind of struts that run through here, everybody's favorite thing. And then we have like some.
Yes, I love that we took the RSI Explorer suit and we put struts on the helmet.
Yeah. You know, it was that was a fun suit because it was sort of one of those ones that had been in the marketing stuff before, and so reinventing it to kind of fit.
Yes, no strut shaming here.
No strut shaming, right? So,
Nos está diciendo que como que está diseñando unas formas, que se le puede variar las formas y que el brillo pues también se adapta y que pueden generar formas interesantes. Que de momento que no han puesto nada tan agresivo como lo que habían puesto antes, pero sí que han puesto algunas cosas, algunos detalles como los que estaba poniendo de lado, que lo podemos ver, por ejemplo, en el actual casco de exploración de Rosadi que ha dicho Jared.
So we can like do little accessories or something. So maybe it's not a strut, but it's just got a little bit of a inset in it or something.
Dice que podemos hacer como una especie de...
So that we can, even though this would all be glass, maybe there would be, in a lot of glass kind of things you can see, they'll have like maybe some rubber that would like be a little trim right here.
Right.
So it's sort of a strut, but it's just a little thin thing that on the inside of the helmet you'd probably never see. And this guy, it's kind of adding back to where we had those visibility problems, but it's like those glasses you have sometimes, and they have little side windows on the glasses. Have you seen those? Like, I have some of those.
Dice que bueno, de que está haciendo como una especie de forma, como de accesorio ahí, y que lo estaba como rellenando de goma, con líneas de goma.
Kind of like that, but I don't know if that's
Y que da la sensación, o buscaba la sensación en ese caso, de que cuando te pones unas gafas y que por los lados ves como las líneas, ¿no?, de las gafas. Cuando miras hacia los lados.
Don't impact the vision at all because vision's already impacted by terrible peripheral vision for the Banu. So they would opt for more protection to the sides since they can't see out of the sides anyway.
I can buy into that.
We don't know.
Está hablando de que los Banu quizás no sean capaces de tener esa visión periférica y que directamente opten por en sus cascos tener un blindaje superior, ya que si no son capaces de ver de forma periférica, en el supuesto caso que no fueran capaces, que podrían optar por tener un blindaje más tocho en el casco, ¿no?
Maybe there's little etchings on the helmet or something that sort of continues to define the shape.
Do Banu have terrible hearing? Someone in the chat said that. I don't remember that. It's possible.
Possible. We could, maybe they need like little hearing speakers. Right? You can add like little details in there. And that's kind of the fun stuff. I feel like their designs would be a little simpler overall, just because I think the organic nature leads to that.
Están preguntando si los Banu tienen problemas de oído y dice que es posible.
Details.
Y que en ese caso que le añade unas ranuras ahí para el oído, en plan, porque eso lo ha dicho una persona del chat.
I did not actually know that.
I don't remember that part.
Yeah, that's good. I wonder if it was in like
Might have been a lower builder. Or
yeah,
a
lower
colleague or
builders. So filled this up with some little details. So I'm trying to balance out the overall shapes and then start placing details. I don't really want to go in and like just like start going crazy on this.
Right.
Dice que está tratando de hacer la forma general, de determinar la forma general y luego ya pues ir centrándose a los detalles.
Put it where it should go, where it feels like it needs to go, rather than just peppering the whole thing.
Básicamente, es que es muy difícil traducir esto, chicos, porque básicamente lo que está haciendo el desarrollador es, a medida que va, digamos, modificando el casco, modificando las piezas, lo que está haciendo es simplemente soltar lo que se le pasa por la cabeza. En plan de, es como si yo cojo este vaso de agua y digo, bueno, voy a beber agua, lo voy a beber de esta forma porque me siento más cómodo. Básicamente está diciendo eso. No siempre, pero cuando no es siempre lo traduzco, claro.
Trying to have one. What if we just use that one? So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to push this part of the mesh in. We'll see how far that goes.
I think you answered your question with your question, Tarkov, because they're not human.
Push this in. I can use the existing sculpt that I've already used. And then I'm going to take this.
Just some happy little pushes.
So it's like, okay, so if this thing's going on this guy's head, it's probably going to go like this. This is like as big as his head is, so it probably needs to go somewhere here.
Está viendo de formas de cómo se quita el casco a la cabeza, ¿no?
I want to get serious about it. All this needs to come off.
Y que ya está viendo que toda esa parte necesita salir fuera.
So like if you wear, if there's any motorcyclists out there or anybody's worn those types of helmets before, it can be deceiving when you do models because you could say, you know, oh, well, his head can't fit through here, but if we made all this like padding or something that could be padding, even if, you know, we say all the way to like here, this is all pads, we could do something like that. That would be compressed when he actually wears it. So in a mesh like this, we're not, you know, able to dynamically simulate him putting a helmet on and off.
No, pues dice que eso, lo que tiene ahí puesto, que sería demasiado comprimido y que no sería capaz de poder hacer una versión lógica de quitarse el casco y ponerse el casco, ¿no? Algo creíble.
Kind of interesting shapes that we can play up in the back. So maybe even though that is where I said his head would need to go in, just make it a little smaller. Kind of like the idea of all of this being pads, though. So I'm turning up the intensity of my brush, which basically makes those lines more intense.
Está haciendo como una especie de tela, ¿no? Supongo.
Comes a giant kind of thing.
Push all of this in. And just kind of like the idea that there's some area here that's very clearly defined as like where it's attaching.
Right.
And then we got this piece, we got this piece. I think. Yeah, I think that's kind of getting there.
Yeah.
As far as a spaceman, Space Banu.
No, dice
I
que
don't know. I feel like this probably could use a hard line on it. It's a little just dome-like.
está hablando de cómo poco a poco modificar la forma. Dice que no le gusta, pues dice que va a utilizar unas líneas un poco más agresivas y tal, que no le acaba de gustar el visor. Modificando cositas, ¿no? Poco a
Just
poco.
such a large canopy. And it's hard to tell sometimes. That's why we do a lot of tests in engine. Because this might look great. You know, if this is all glass, it might actually work pretty well.
Yeah, it's hard to tell without the transparency.
Yeah, exactly. Because you're basically like, is this going to look goofy or is this going to work?
You had a mode where we kind of saw the face through the...
Yeah, if we do this, we can kind of see it.
Yeah.
And to me, I feel like it's going to be fine. The only thing that I'm noticing now is like, this dude's got no clearance here. So I just grab this piece. Maybe give him, and that's kind of why it's interesting with the different races is some of them, they're going to have different requirements on like what their needs are.
Está hablando de que será interesante ver cómo las diferentes razas pues tienen diferentes requisitos a la hora de diseñar pues lo que están haciendo en general.
Gee, I'm right up against this thing. And we can't keep going out because then it makes the helmet look ridiculous. So,
We come from France.
yeah.
Dice que no,
So, you know, we're just...
oh, qué hijo de puta. Dice que no pueden elevarlo demasiado y tal, y porque si no sería ridículo. Y ya le da soltado de venimos de Francia. Otro rollo, ¿eh? Esos comentarios, tela. Yo no sabía que había ese rollito.
Or maybe taper back in towards the eyes. Or...
I'm almost just like appending, I'm just append a cube. It's going to be in the wrong spot, but... Okay. So this is going to be quick.
We're out of time, but I want to see what you're doing. So.
I'm basically just going to put like a little, let's say we could have a little lens thing here. Oh, that's huge. Oh, God. A harmonica. It's also inverted. But let's pretend that this is like on the inside of this helmet. It's like a little readout or something, maybe.
Rear view camera.
Yeah, review camera, or like, you know, he's got a little stuff in there. We want to make sure that's still hidden, obviously, so it needs to be inside all of this.
Está diciendo que va a meter una cosa en el dentro del casco, como una especie de cámara o algo así.
Do this,
Imaginemos que es como una especie de cámara, ¿no?
and just kind of jam it in there. So we could, and this could actually probably be cooler if it was like all the way around. Push that in, and then we'll hide this. So there's some sort of little readout here that he's like, can look down at, or maybe, and it's inside his lens. And so we could have, you know, some fun stuff here where
Dice que de esa manera pues el vano podrá mirar hacia abajo y ver como información o alguna cosa divertida, ¿no? De ver, interesante.
transparent thing. It's like his messages or something. It's his chat window. But it'd be hidden all inside
It
of
only
this.
shows up when he presses F11.
Yeah, there you go. So, yeah.
All right. Spanish version of Moby Glass. It's Moby Face.
Yeah, exactly.
Dice,
Something like that.
bueno, dice que la versión vano del Moby Glass es el Moby Cara, el Moby Face.
It's got a unique shape to it.
Chistacos que se marca ahí el discolando de vez en cuando.
Different. I think if you saw somebody with this type of helmet, like from a distance, this is one thing we talk about a lot, but we talk about like
The silhouette.
silhouette reads. So is, you know, it's kind of got a little bit of a
Está
bigger
tratando
shape
de
to
mirar
it.
la silueta para que con la silueta pues se note lo que estaban comentando al principio del desarrollo, de que se note que es un vano.
Oh, Josh, that's it for our time.
Sweet, thank you.
Thank you.
No, of
Thank
course.
you so much for doing this. Yeah, that's it. RTV, Gamedev, what makes a helmet? Thanks for joining us, guys. I'm trying to remember. I totally forgot. I had an announcement. My computer went down halfway through the show, so I don't have my announcements. Oh, if you're in the Austin area next week, South by Southwest, a couple of our staff members are presenting at South by Southwest. John Erskine and Jake Ross are going to be at South by Southwest. They're doing a panel or two. I don't actually have the details, but you can go to South by Southwest, the website, and search for John Erskine and Jake Ross, and you can find out more about what they're talking about. John Erskine is the studio head for the Austin, Texas studio. So if you're already going or whatever, you want to swing by and say hi, I'm sure they'd certainly appreciate meeting some Star Citizens in the area.
Me parece que
Other than that, the Argo SRV promotion is still going. So if you haven't checked that out, there's a Q&A and there's an ATV and there's an RTV and all kinds of information for that. And yeah, that's all I got. That's all I got for you. So Josh, thank you so much.
No problem. I'm just
And,
going to keep going as long
yeah,
as you keep talking.
No, I'm just.
bueno, se
part of
está
me
despidiendo,
is
está diciendo
conditioned to hit a button
que
and
compañeros
watch
del
the
estudio de
show
Austin van a hacer una
in a
charla,
really
uno de ellos es el
efficient
jefe del
place.
estudio
So I
allí,
think
que
we're
va a
just
ser
gonna-
Jeff.
I think we're just gonna
algo, no
stop
me
the
acuerdo ahora
feedback
mismo.
now before that happens. JJ, kill the show.
Y-
Thanks everybody. We'll see you next week.
See you.
Nope. Bye.
Y nada, que habrá más información por ahí, pero que él no la tiene. O sea, este hombre es la hostia, es el puto amo. Pues nada, básicamente que esto ha sido todo el revés de vers. Simplemente han hecho un casco, ha sido un revés de vers ligerito, la verdad. Y comentaros que bueno, que estaré el martes, ya sabéis que estaré el martes por aquí, el jueves y el viernes. El martes tenemos el directito de Star Citizen. Y como novedad, el martes estaré jugando con una 2080. Así que a ver qué pasa. A ver a cuántos FPS va, a ver cómo va el juego de rendimiento y todo eso. Así que nada, chicos, gracias por el apoyo. Si tenéis alguna duda de Star Citizen, de lo que sea, pues os trato de ayudar. Os doy unos segunditos para pensarlo. Creo que va a ser algo que voy a hacer siempre, el dar un tiempito a ver si queréis preguntar alguna duda de lo que sea. Y si no tenéis ninguna duda y lo sabéis todo, pues que yo tampoco lo sé todo. Pues nos vemos el martes. Ok, chicos. Pues un placer como siempre. Se agradece todo el apoyo que me dais. Y hasta luego. Hasta luego, cartaginés.